conflict of interest. It came out last year.
Yeah, last year.
And I was wondering, where did this come from? And from who? When the government is doing business with itself.
Yeah.
We're employing people, even the MPs, they're all into the tender businesses. They're all doing business with themselves. Even the Safaricom is compromised. The CPI, the Corruption Perspective Index, 179. Kenya is 127, and we are the ones vetting them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how. So we are so corrupt. We are also vetting the worst corrupt people. So the really corruptors, too corrupt. You know, that kind of. It's not phobia. The facts are facts. You have to separate that. There are good people. There are some Somalis that are okay. Open borders to another country, you're driving them nuts. It's just a matter of time. They're going to block us from everywhere.
Yeah.
You cannot have that. I'm serious. Even like going to the US, try and do that. If you're given limited time, and then you go there, now you can come to Kenya and become a citizen, just like citizen. I feel there's a sort of silence. But that silence, in democracy, when there's that kind of a silence, it means that democracy is failing. The Gen Z, they came out so strong. For me, I know they already took the government, in my opinion. When I turn on, what I see in opposition is when they all stand in a group and make a statement. You know, if you're a lion, you don't call a meeting, you just roar. You need to be roaring,
yes.
And you're going all over the place. But I feel these 14 million need a different change. I would say sometimes some statements, sometimes mental health is also real, eh? You know, because look here.
Great to see you. Hello there and welcome to this particular platform, a platform that is dedicated to speaking about what matters. What matters is we need to focus a little bit less on politicians and focus more on ourselves. Focus on ideologies. What actually matters is our future, and my conversation today is all about that. An aerial view of Kenya from the diaspora. You know, the diaspora are watching, they remit so much to this country, and they want people who can help the money that they bring back to the country, help the Kenyans that they actually help. Now my conversation today is someone who ran for office in Murang'a. Probably you've seen her before. Also, she's a policy advisor, governance expert, a diaspora leader, and she talks to me once in a while to get to feel what the diasporas are thinking about our leadership. Comfort Mwangi, Miss, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
I'm so happy to see you, so happy that you're back in the country. You can let me know what is happening. How is the mood, uko maju?
Before even I mention that, congratulations. I like your new channel.
Thank you, thank you.
And first of all, so you're a cameraman. It's so clear.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing you in 3D. Yeah, but good job. I like what you're doing, and keep it up.
Thank you,
yes,
thank you.
and nice to see you again.
What is the mood, Maju?
Right now, many things are bombarding us. You know, we have the Minnesota issue. Then we also have, you know, we are thinking so much about what can happen in terms of our passport, because most of them pass through here before coming to the US. So we just hear the money's in Kenya. They need to go back to Kenya.
Yeah.
So we're watching, following. That's the story we're following right now.
Let's start with this, corruption.
Yes.
Auditor General comes up with reports after reports, missing funds, talk about housing, talk about Safaricom, talk about what? You're thinking, are we able to deal with this corruption issue? You know, we've talked about it for long, and every single time I talk about corruption, it's as if, you know, we're just wasting time. Let me ask you this, what do you think about the president or Kenya Kwanza regime when it comes to dealing with graft? Billions are getting lost.
Well, when you say they get lost, first of all, also blame Kenyans. We seem to describe every scandal. We describe and say, imagine the what do you call it? The bills that have not pending bills.
Yes.
They're 680 something billion. Imagine, then you go to sleep, you wake up. Imagine capitation has not 3.7 hasn't reached the schools.
Yes.
Imagine 3.7 billion has gone to ghost schools. Ghost students are being paid for, and the real ones are at home. But it's that acceptance of every day, it piles up. It makes it so easy to go on. I'd like to commend Ms. Nancy. Yes. She does a very great job because she tells us as it is, and then it's up to us to decide. So when we hear that we have all these billions missing and they're not traceable, it gets worrying. because we thought that, we have people who would spring and give us some feedback. We don't get that. And yet another scandal comes up. So where does this money actually go? Because that's our money. It comes from our taxes. Yes.
So when you look at EACC, the judiciary, when it comes to this, because cases are actually being taken, there are a lot of people being prosecuted. And I want to know, from your experience or from the diaspora perspective, when it comes to them dealing with this, how can we become better as a country?
Well, I can say, for example, when I watch the EACC, I call it the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, they seem to select what crimes to follow because they're supposed to also make sure that they're overseeing how let's say the president, the executive, overseeing how the power is being used, how the money is flowing, and that part, they don't follow it up. Yet it's almost clear that it's the backs end to the president, and that's where the corruption is starting. So I feel they're not doing their job, but even if we see in the papers people are arrested, we don't see anybody in jail. Have you seen somebody in jail?
No.
Have you? Just tell me, have you?
We only saw Ferdinand 22.
Yes, but now is he still in jail?
No.
Yeah, it seems, but those people without money, I keep saying, are the ones who are in jail. So we see that the corruption, the cost is so low. It becomes normalized. You do it, almost now they're doing each other. I'm taking 50 billion, again away with it. I feel corruption is across the board. We have the IPOA. They are also somehow corrupt because they decide who to follow. They're supposed, they might gas Mr. Gashagwa, the police line up there, they refuse him to participate as an opposition, yet somebody else flies all over the place. EACC is supposed to make sure the president doesn't use public funds to fly all over those places and start campaigning. Then we have IBC that doesn't stop the president to start campaigning. We've had 3 years of everything going down, just everything going down. And then now, suddenly, he starts campaigning for the next 2 years. So we feel as a country, the corruption is killing the country. People are not getting treated. Schools are closed. So everything has gone down, in my opinion.
I will ask you a question about, are we normalizing billions? We think billions is a kidogo, but I know you're wondering why we are in this location. There are clothes all over me. I am looking spectacular today. I know you're wondering. I wanted you to wonder kidogo. But we are at Dapper Drip Collections here at Kovo Square in Lavington, next to Quickmart, and we are saying that we have shirts, we have suits, we have shoes, we have belts, we have everything for men. And my thinking is, if you're around Lavington or you are wherever you are, they deliver suits to where you are. You can come by at Kovo Square, second floor, Dapper Drip Collections. You can visit their social media platforms. You can see more. And if you happen to pass by, we might meet and probably have a show with you here at Dapper Drip Collections. That's why I'm looking great. You can see the variety of clothes that are around. So you pass by Dapper Drip Collections and then we can be able to look as good as me. The prices are affordable, not that affordable, but affordable, so that you look unique and you look great. Have we normalized billions?
I'm telling you, do you know what's a billion? 1,000 millions, lining them up in a country where you can still buy milk for 2 or 100 shillings. Can you imagine that? So it is an incredible amount of money to go missing in our coffers. And yet, basically, you see what Dindi did?
Yes.
With just 192 million from his money. He's able to do that in his county. Think of billions being going away from our coffer. Should those kids still be at home, not working? Why don't they even take those billions? And when you hear that pending bills are not being paid, those are hospitals are not being paid, contractors not being paid. Then you hear Kenyatta Hospital, our wing is closed down because they can't pay. Hospitals are closing important sections of the hospital. They're being closed down because of the pending bills. They're crippled. You've crippled the system, stealing in billions. They've actually still, 10 million. 10 million. But then you go and grab 50 billion. And you think what that can do for the schools, the hospitals, for all of us, it's unbelievable.
Because even the Auditor General says 40.2 billion up from payment, we might risk being shortchanged when it comes to Safaricom's stake. She's talking about accountability gaps, 19.6 billion World Bank loan. She's talking about Kenya Mortgage Refinance, 9.8, 18.9, these are millions. We have normalized.
You've normalized it. And then the funny thing is, like, here I am, I'm stealing. But guess what? I'm going to pass a bill for conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Conflict of interest. It was that it came out last year.
Yeah, last year.
And I was wondering, where did this come from? And from who? When the government is doing business with itself.
Yeah.
We're employing people, even the MPs, they're all into the tender businesses. They're all doing business with themselves. Even the Safaricom is compromised.
Yeah.
Because those are the government people. They can set the price, buy it at this price.
Yes, and we're hearing even the banks, who owns which banks that are doing businesses.
Yes, even here our money probably passes through somebody's bank, and then it is, you know, they make money out of it. Then you put a bill of conflict of interest. It's a bit messed up. I don't know, it's like I'm going to steal this, but I'm putting a law against it. If somebody is caught with drugs, I'm going to nyonga you. Then we're seeing drugs moving in our airport. We're seeing drug barons being put in government. Like, I don't know, I didn't say names,
yes.
but I'm just saying it's like a game. It's almost like mutadu. That's how I feel. They're making these rules, they're stealing in billions, they're doing business amongst themselves, and yet we're there suffering as a nation.
Of course, we'll talk about Singapore, we'll talk about Gen Zs, what to do. But there's the issue of terrorism in the country, and you've talked about what the diaspora community is feeling when it comes to safety here in Kenya. There are chiefs that were kidnapped last year in Mandera. Took some time before they came back. There's a conversation about RSF, not RSF, but Jubaland forces that were here in Mandera, and everyone was thinking, are they invading our country? From where you sit, and when you come back to Kenya, what do you think about our security in the country, and even internal security, where kids are being kidnapped, etc.?
Well, I know when I was here in February, it's when we're discussing the vetting of our brothers, the Somalis who are really Somalis in Kenya. They've not been vetted to get the IDs, but they've been in Kenya. They've been kind of marginalized there. But that was a process to take part in Northeastern. So now when you open the papers and you find like 20 pictures there of people from immigration, people for fingerprinting, ID people, and then we are told that the whole machinery is found in people's houses. You can get genuine passports, genuine IDs in a house somewhere here in Nairobi. Yet, so that freaks us out.
The suspects among them officials from the National Registration Bureau, clerical staff from the Directorate of Immigration, assistant chiefs, technicians, businessmen and clearance brokers were arrested at different locations within Nairobi's Kamukunji and Eastleigh areas over the weekend, after the DCI unearthed an organized system where government documents were being issued fraudulently after money had exchanged hands. At the center of the allegations is the issuance of identity cards, birth certificates and passports to foreigners. According to the DCI, the suspects have now been running the network for months now.
I thought this is only in movies.
No, it's here. It's in your newspapers. We saw it. You didn't see it? Yeah, it was there. The immigration, some people, they actually put there with their names in the newspaper headlines. People from the immigration office and other people, brokers, they found all those things in people's houses. Fingerprinting, get the ID, get the passport. We don't know who are those people getting that. Yes, but if it is, we agree that yes, the president passed for the people out there, but we also wondered why. Why now, would you want people to enter the country with very little vetting? So now, when we in the diaspora see that, when we talk of corruption, we are affected because right now, when you carry a passport, you're carrying the reputation of that country.
Yes.
When you carry a passport, you're actually carrying the reputation of that country. I'm a Kenyan. Then when you turn on the TV, you're seeing the Somali Kenyans who are doing this. And yet those Somalis, I saw somebody saying that we should not have paranoia about them.
Yeah.
The Somali Kenyans in Somali, they don't even identify with blacks, even with black Americans. They don't believe they're black. They say they're Kushites, they're Arabs, okay? Yeah, that's what they say. But now the crimes they have done there, the FBI already here, they're tracing the money here to Kenya. All the neighboring countries, their passports, they can no longer go to the US just easily. Only Kenya.
Yes.
But now this scandal that has come up, this is what is now troubling us as diaspora. We're just watching from outside in. We're also anxious.
But when you speak that way, people think you are Somaliphobic. And this is the conversation that we're having in the country. Anytime we question some of the implementations that are taking place, it's as if we are Somaliphobic or Islamophobic.
No, Somali, they have clans, they're different clans, okay? That's why they don't have a functioning country, because they all fight each other. Somali, let's say we're 182 countries. Somali is 179, most corrupt. The CPI, the Corruption Perspective Index, 179. Kenya is 127, and we are the ones vetting them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how. So we are so corrupt. We are also vetting the worst corrupt people. So the really corruptors, too corrupt. You know, that kind of. It's not phobia. The facts are facts. You have to separate that. There are good people. There are some Somalis that are okay. We have grown up with them. We've been with them here. Why are they then being? How are they getting those other passports to leave the country? We know there's Dabab. Dabab was just like a channeling place for there were real refugees, and there were those who are using that aspect to go to the U.S. So when you see that happening in the U.S., the Minneapolis, Trump has removed the protective status, the temporary, it's called TPS, temporary protective status that helped them get the passports and visas to go there. But that was 30 years ago. So the Americans are saying 30 is not temporary. So that was removed. Then Trump took it at a higher notch. By March 17, he has said all Somalis must leave. Somalis. And where are they going to leave? Our name is lingering there because they're saying Somali. They're going to go to Kenya. The money has been traced to Kenya. You cannot say that the Somalis we grew up with, the people we've been doing business with, in the regular Isili that we knew, or in Pangani or here, yes, can suddenly have 12 streets in Isili with high rises. And then we hear South C, South B. And then we don't just keep quiet, but we know that then there are billions of taxpayers' money from the US that has come here. So we can't say it's phobic, it is fact.
So what should we do now that we have, the vetting gone, the borders open, people believe it's for political reasons? What should we do as a country?
That is the weakest point that we have, that anybody can be here. You talked about kids disappearing because we don't know who is in the country. If I was a pedophile in Europe, or not even Europe, within Africa, I'll come here. I'll come in, I'm given maybe 2 or 3 months to stay here. But nobody really checked who I was. And then I rent an Airbnb. So many things are happening, but we cannot really know exactly what's happening to the individuals. So people are saying kids are missing, people are being killed. Yeah, so the sovereignty of a country is very important, and that is borders. As diaspora can tell you, you go and try and get a visa for any country. The questions you'll be asked, are you going to maintain yourself there for 30 days? How? Prove it. Who are you going to stay with so they can be able to find you? You don't just enter people's countries like that, freely.
What is our state when you talk about sovereignty, the word sovereignty? What is our state as a country when you look at the respect that we hold out there, and when you look at some of the things that we are looking at and we are saying they need to end?
Kenya is a great country. People respect Kenya a lot. A lot of good things come out from this country. But the trajectory we are having based on governance and these open borders to another country, you're driving them nuts. It's just a matter of time. They're going to block us from everywhere. Yeah. You cannot have that. I'm serious. Even like going to the US, try and do that. If you're given limited time, and then you go there, now you can come to Kenya and become a citizen, just like citizen. When we were getting our IDs in Kenya, the chief had to sign for you. You talked about the kidnapped chiefs. Maybe they were going to do a quick job over there to sign up for people to get the IDs. I don't know, because they came back a bit, they added weight. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Speculation. But I'm saying that the chief had to know us. Yes. They ask, what school did you go to? They know your parents, then you get that ID. Now, if you cannot even speak Swahili at the age of 30 and you're getting a Kenyan passport, where have you been? And you've been saying you're living in Kenya. Who are you?
Those are the questions.
Those are the questions. So Kenya, we really need to understand who's coming into our border. I know the neighboring country, Tanzania, she was able to remove, she said she's blocking herself out. So those are the things we need to work on as a country. We need to have, if we have good borders, strong borders, people cannot just come in. Because also when they come in, we have unfair competition in trade. How are you able to go to a shop and the retail price is less than a wholesale shop down the road?
Sure.
How can you compete with them? Everybody will come to your shop, then I'll have to close mine.
Yes.
So slowly you own all the shops. And then you say it's hardworking, you're very hardworking.
Then we talk about Gen Zs, because you're talking about kidnappings, and the people who are being kidnapped were young people. And the conversation in the country is for change to happen, young people need to vote. And when you look at the IBC registrations, everyone is thinking, will these people actually vote in 2027? The protests were there in 2024, 2025. Some people are talking about a political party needs to be formed that is Gen Z based. What is your thinking about Gen Z taking power or actually giving power to the right people in comparison to what you're seeing abroad, where young people actually participated in the last election of Trump versus Kamala?
I would say that Gen Z, they are 14 million strong. And I feel there's a sort of silence. But that silence, in democracy, when there's that kind of a silence, it means that democracy is failing. The Gen Z, they came out so strong. For me, I know they already took the government, in my opinion. They did. They were the strongest Gen Z I have seen across the world in terms of their resilience and the unitedness and the force. They were happy, they were frustrated, they got out. Protests is just a signal that things are not working. You then don't go and say, now I'm going to make a law. If you on social media do this and this, that is their public square. That's where the Gen Zs meet, that's where they learn things, that's where they share, that's where they talk, that's where they earn money. Also, like, you know, you have also your digital platform. Yes, digital platform. You cannot, I feel like there's a silence, a small withdrawal. But I'd like to tell the Gen Z that they were very successful, and they were lucky that we've had Gen Zs also change countries, but get out into a protest and really make a change. Yeah. But it was temporary. They came out just like of the Gen Zs here in Algeria or Egypt or Nepal. Yeah. But those countries, you know, they were able even to go, some of them up to the State House, so to say. But those countries did not have the structures underneath. The countries that have been successful, the Gen Zs that have been successful, have had structures working. And Kenya, our structures were there. When they were doing the protests, we could still go to court. We had a media that could still cover them. It was functioning. So all they need to do now, Gen Z, is to use their strength. That 14 million strong is to vote. Because protests, okay, protests open the door. But voting is what allows who go in.
Yes, yes, for sure.
So the protests have happened. Now, if they don't vote, they need to vote who they need. They'll walk in, and they'll now start growing from the inside out.
Do you think Gen Zs will vote this time? From your assessment, you look at this, what is happening in the country, you look at the by-elections that happened, do you think people will turn up to vote?
Yes, I'm thinking there's a way we have a solution. I'm thinking of something. The Gen Zs and the Gen Zs in Kenya, because they know the ground, we've seen their strength, their power, and their presence in the digital space. Then we have the Gen X, that is us, the Gen X in the US. We have got the money, the experience, the mobility, and the torch. Torches. And we also have that torch to Milika to see that the world, anything happening here, we can really like amplify it. So we can have a very good synergy where we have the Gen Zs here in Kenya working together with the Gen X out there. Our Gen X here in Kenya, just keep our children, okay? Because they're the ones who are footing the bills in their houses, okay? Make sure their minds are fine. Take care of them. Us, we've had like 25, 30 years experience out there. We've got the ideas, we've got some extra money. We know how to access. And then we know if there's trouble, tutamulika, and we'll help them. Then we, in the Gen X in the diaspora, on average, we have got 2 Gen Zs in our homes. These are people who can even tell one of the superstars, oh, they want to shut down the internet in Kenya. Within minutes, we have Starlinks all over in Kenya. Yes. Yeah. So if we get a synergy between now those 4 groups, I believe they can take their country.
Who should coordinate this synergy? Should it be anyone having this conversation, or should it come from the opposition or the political leaders?
Leave the political leaders. First of all, the boomers, those are the ones. Oh, once I went into a next space, I just happened to enter. I had them discussing, yeah, so now the next election, this generation, we have to hide their IDs because they go and they make the worst decisions. I was like, boy, we're the ones now who are being described.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that we have that the politicians who are there now, they had their time in their 20s, their 30s, and their 40s. And from outside in, when I look, when I turn on, what I see in opposition is when they all stand in a group and make a statement. You know, if you're a lion, you don't call a meeting, you just roar. You need to be roaring,
yes.
And you're going all over the place. But I feel these 14 million need a different change, and that is their future. Us will not be there. They need to grab it. They really need to understand they have the power. We understand that space which is the best. They don't have to come out and watch people on top of their cars and wave. They just need to capitalize on that social media space. That is their home.
Do you think Ruto is wooing them with this Nyota program is becoming a little bit popular?
It's not. What does it do for you? You explain to me. What does it do for you?
Popular in terms of being known that Ruto is giving money. Do you think it will woo the voters?
You have to see the motive. What I don't want to name names. Is the president. What is the motive and why now?
Open businesses from 50,000 shillings. He says you can think 50,000 shillings is some small money.
Has he explained the other one? Why? What happened to it?
Tesla fund.
Yeah. What happened to it? Well, you should ask the hard questions. And why now? And people know your track record. And whose money is that you're giving us? And if it's the World Bank that has given you, why are you taking credit for it? And why are you now giving it? It's not from you. Put it somewhere, people apply, it comes to their account. Why does it have to come from your hand? It makes it even more suspicious. Maybe when you've skimmed some hapoju metoa isijui. We don't know. But what I'm saying is that is temporary fix. We've had 3 years of watching the country going down. Never in history have we had 60%, only 60% going back to school. People at home. But then you have this fund. People come to a meeting, we hear you spend almost 80, 90 million to feed them and to talk to them. And that is also corrupt, that is illegal. EACC, if they're serious, they are supposed to be watching the power. How is power using the machinery? You cannot be the president and then you use our taxpayer money, drive all the cars somewhere or helicopters, and then you say that now and then you go wear uniform. It's not campaign time. Campaign starts next year, May. Yeah. That is official time, even IBC. That's what I'm saying. We talk about corruption. The whole process is corrupt.
He's saying he's not campaigning, he's just empowering with this development tours.
That is campaigning. You can't say that, okay, let's say he's not saying that. But he sends his minions to the media to say, what we have opposition. Us, we can be in Mombasa now, in Mandela there, and there. That's why he's active, he's doing all that. With whose money? He's going with security. He's able to fly there, and he's using, that is not allowed. AACC, there's a law about that, using public money for your own gain. And election time has not begun. IEBC should be saying something about that. That is campaign. They're wearing uniform.
Do you have anything to do, any doubt with IEBC? People are talking about the CEO a lot.
Well, I know some of the people, there was a deadline for people to apply. There was a selection team. But then afterwards, we have people who are not in that team or in that being put in. So I don't know where they came from and what is the motive. We don't have confidence, in my opinion. I don't have confidence in some of them because they were not there. After I did the Senate race, I did apply to be a PS just to go through the process. I gave in all my documents. I was cleared by EACC. Everything was cleared, and I waited. Guess what? People who came after the deadline, and I could see they're not even qualified. They were given positions. So I don't know how. Yeah, those are the things we don't trust.
It leads to a lot of trust deficit.
A lot of So what I was saying is that these campaigns have started too early, and that is they're using heavy money. And then that they force the opposition to try and do the same, but they cannot. They don't have that kind of money.
It's going to be tricky. Maybe on that same case, this has just come to mind. Will we would the opposition be able to counter Ruto, who is having this amount of money? We saw this in the by-elections, and I'm just thinking now, is hope lost if he has all the instruments of power and the money that is lying on the ground?
Of course, they always say remove the money from politics. I remember once I was volunteering for a governor in Florida, and there's a cap on how much you can give, all right? Even how much you can give to a candidate. Here we don't have that. And here now, in fact, it's also in our laws, checking the IBC laws. You cannot bribe people or try and persuade them with money to vote for you. You cannot do that. You cannot use your state power that you're there with all that protection to influence people that you're going to be, I'm going to vote for me.
Yes.
It's there. Why aren't they doing anything about it? This is clear. I've seen pictures of 5,000 or 7,000 clear. The money is given. The uniform is here.
Yes.
Elections are in 2 years. IBC is not saying anything. Nobody is saying. Opposition should. These are the things they should be pointing out. Mulikaing. Yeah.
But we're not.
We are not. So that scares us out there. We know that there's a problem right there.
Talk to me about the diaspora voting. There's a conversation about those people with dual citizenship cannot vote for other lower seats other than the presidency. You are remitting 780 billion annually. And I'm thinking, do you feel like you can participate fairly in the electoral process of Kenya, even when it comes to e-voting, etc.? Do you feel like the diaspora community is represented in the ballot?
Well, you have to remember, your citizenship does not end at the airport. If you're in Kenya, it's in that we are allowed to be dual citizens. So it doesn't end at the airport. This is still our country. And as you say, with that 780 billion that in our remittances, we are the government. Yeah, we are part of that. We are the government. We are second GDP. We are second GDP.
Yes.
And then you don't want to hear what we are saying, and we cannot vote who is going to run those monies. What our monies have become like as a welfare. We are providing welfare, a welfare backup for Kenya government, so they can comfortably step back.
Yes.
That's why they're able to breathe. If we were to pull out those funds, there'll be fire in this country. So we are co-running this country.
Almost $1 trillion every year.
Yes, we are co-running this country with the government, and we are citizens of this country. So we should vote. We don't have to vote for the county positions because we're not living here. And that's in the constitution. We can vote for the presidential. But they have made it almost impossible. They put it only in the consulate, that we should vote only in the consulate.
Yeah.
So last election, do you know how many people voted in the diaspora? 10,000. Only 10,000. Because, look, it's like being told to go and vote in Lagos. And go line up in Lagos, and it opens at this time and closes at this time.
So everyone has to move to that state?
No, like now in the US, we have got something in New York, a kind of consulate. We have the embassy in DC, and then California. And then they say we can only vote by going to the consulate.
So if you're in Texas,
you have to take a flight to either DC or go to California. And you might find them closed, because it has to be open hours. Then they'll close. So people, and then also in Europe, it's the same thing. But there are other best practices that need to be used. Like the US, they do have, you can have ballot boxing, ballot voting, whereby we are cleared by the embassy that we are Kenyans, and we get the number, and then we can fill in our ballot, and then it is counted. We can also do electronic voting. We are cleared by the embassy, and we can log in on the day for voting and vote. That is pretty clear. And those are the kind of issues we need to fight. We now need to also now pull our weight. When it comes to other countries that have worked, like Italy or Senegal or Algeria, some of them have got members of parliament in their, sitting there in their parliament. But what they do, some of them, they break up the regions in the world, they hold elections. So maybe as a member of parliament for Europe, US, that kind of a thing. And then you can come and sit in parliament and give your opinions. We may not be asking for exactly that, but we need representation. Our views need to be heard in parliament. Through the county government, through our members of parliament, we can plug in there. And so that's what I would say.
And do you believe if we do like the mail-in, can we trust the system to ensure that there is no rigging? You know, those are also conversations that are there.
But I don't want to sound a bit helpless. We just have to trust, but us will follow ours. We'll trust and verify. We have voted, we'll verify on that. And I don't know how it will be over here, but a lot of things are happening. I hear Smartmatic now has been rehired. Rehired. You know, they put us through all that. It has been rehired, and that is really messed up. So we are very, very worried whether even the elections will be credible. Yeah.
Where are you leaning? Where is the diaspora leaning? 1 term, 2 term? Are you supporting William Ruto, the president, or are you looking for a candidate in the oppositions? Those are like David Maraga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Jimmy Wanjigi. Where do you think the diaspora is leaning?
Well, we are going to look for somebody who has integrity, okay, somebody who has country first, somebody who has got a track record of being clean. Those are the perimeters. But of course, here the EACC always clears almost everybody at a fee, maybe, I don't know. But that is what we would look for, and I'm sure our vote numbers may not be as much as the Gen Z over here. We'll be counting on the Gen Z. If we're able to activate our Gen Z, we can really influence that presidential vote. And help it out. But as you're asking who to vote for, who are we right now, we're not discussing anybody. Nobody is coming out straight. We're watching. We see it is the same people who have morphed over the years. They've been, it's dangerously that you were in Azimio, now you're in UDA, now you can be in broad-based, you're in this, you're what. We feel like these people are they can move any time. But I would like some people. I like some people the people who are championing economy. That one makes us sit up.
Or Jimmy Wanjigi.
Yes, if they're championing economy, that one is very important because that is what is ailing this country. If you're championing security, sovereignty,
constitutionalism, like
yes. Every country in the whole world right now is caring about their people. America is America first. The borders, you get out, it's our country. You go to Europe, they're doing the same.
But I saw regarding Gachagua with Kenya first, was it what, make Kenya great again, branding on his capes and in his jackets?
Well,
I think his team...
we have to be careful. Yeah, those are slogans. I mean, I don't know, it's almost like you can... If you are watching it like a play, it's fun watching. But this is our life. This is our country. We really need to choose the right leaders with the right track record. And I think I have faith we'll find those kind of people in the next election if we activate the Gen Z who are, they have got a clear mind. They're very smart. They're very savvy, thanks to Kibaki free education. They're very savvy. And Matiang'i is putting things in place. They're very savvy, and if we capitalize on those numbers, then it will not matter who is the candidate. We'll kick you out if we don't like you. They'll nominate who they need. That is why I'm urging the Gen Zs, get out of that, shake yourself up. I know you're scared, they've put fear. They've put fear when your friends are picked up thanks to Safaricom, which is illegal. They trace you in your house, abduct you, and they go and kill you. It is scary. And then they put a law that if you type this, 7 years, or you don't know, you pay how much. So there's a silence, and that is democracy that is shrinking. But I believe they're going to wake up again. They're going to see the power. Like I said, protest with the good institutions in place, right? Then you can now vote and decide who will go in, regardless.
Let's talk about Singapore. As we're winding up, you've lived in different parts of the world. You've traveled a lot. Are we likely to be a Singapore or those first world countries who are governed well, the economy is doing well, the education is great, the healthcare is well? Because the president, I think he said recently that this 2026 we're going to set the agenda, we're going to set the terms, we're going to set the pace. And his pace from last year has been, we're going to be a Singapore of Africa. We're going to be a first world. And for you who lives in a first world, and from that experience in the diaspora, are we heading there?
I would say sometimes some statements, sometimes mental health is also real. Because look here, Singapore is number 3 in corruption perceptive index. We're number 127, all right? And I think maybe when we bribed not to be there, I don't know. I'm just saying the corruption here, we don't have, That's a slogan. It's a slogan not supported by a system of structures. You don't begin with speeches, slogans, how you're going to go there. You first fix the bottom. If you don't have health in place, education in place, security in place, you can't go to Singapore. You know, and transparency and corruption in place. So we don't have all that, but you're promising us to go somewhere else.
Jump from 127 to 3.
Yeah, 127 to 3. And we don't have it. Okay, are the people healthy enough? No. Why? Because they're probably eating corrupted food. Hospitals don't have things. If you look at those nations, because I happened to be in Germany in 1990, when I think the wall had just fallen in 89. Germany was for Germans. Everybody was practically German. And you could see that, one, the part of not having corruption and people coming in with time, they've been able to build a solid country. I saw Chinese universities, so Germany has got very good universities, free education. Chinese who had 100 plan that is now worked out, had brought all their people there to those engineering, heavy engineering staff. That time China was almost like, they had agricultural, Phuket was an agricultural place. They all came, but now I see what was falling in together. Those are people who went back. Those are the diaspora that went back and built. Just like the diaspora from Rwanda, they went back and built. That's what makes us valuable. Even us will come back. We, the diaspora, right now, we hold 25 to 30 years experience in functioning countries. Not only as teachers or educators, people are there in engineering, in nuclear, even in AI, in nursing. We've got all that experience. We shouldn't be having like CBC education. Me, I am an educator, and I told you, CBC cannot work. Can you imagine from Tanzania they can't come here? Even nobody around the region can even come to learn over here. The people who put it there, the kids are all in private school, and they come to the US. So what I'm saying is, they need to tap us. And one way, maybe I said about it, but in one way that they can tap us as diaspora and tap this wealth of knowledge is allow us to probably create an advisory council that can sit even in the county meetings. Like I'm from Oranga. I'd written a paper of devolving the diaspora into counties. So the diaspora from China, from Namibia, US, from Oranga, we have one unit of an advisory council for our county to the governor. Sometimes I call the governor in Oranga, I tell him there's some books can be done this can go there. But I'm saying we can sit.
Do you think that has contributed to the performance of Irungu Kangata?
I'm not taking advantage of that, but I'm just saying that is something we can do. If we have like now Muranga, the Muranga diaspora all over, in the UK, everywhere, and we say now we're forming this, we're going to advise Muranga, okay? Who needs the school fees, who needs to go to what university, what do you need to export, bring avocados down to my supermarket here, I'll deliver them. Bring them to this place, I'll deliver them. If we work together, that synergy, each county works with their county, sits in the advisory council, advises our MPs, we would take this country another level. Because why are we going to do this? Because we would like the country to grow. So the money we have, it's not that we are billionaires when we send money. We give what we can. It's not that but it makes an impact because it's in the dollars or whatever it is. It's not that we're rich. Okay, but we can. This is the time to use us, the Gen X, who've been there for all these years. We need that synergy, and counties can be matched together to work with their. And if we grow the counties, we've grown the country.
For sure.
And of course, we vote for the person on top.
So this conversation about Singapore, you're saying it's simply a slogan.
It's a slogan, and a speech. That's what it is. It's backed with nothing. It's backed with nothing. It's like I'm messing up here so much. Look there. There. Now what are we discussing that?
Yes.
We're not discussing the kids who are still at home.
Yes.
We're not discussing wards in hospitals being shut down.
Sure.
People killing themselves because of pending bills. That's another thing. Yeah. And how do you have 3.7 billion going to ghost hospitals, and then the hospitals, the viewers don't have anything? Those are the things we should be focusing on. And also maybe asking the hard questions. You've come to talk to us, you're giving us money, 5,000, where did it come from? Where did it come from?
Those are the questions.
Go put it back together and take some kids to school. Go to Kiharu and see the example. You and your Singapore.
Kiharu. Finally, advice to Kenyans now from a diaspora lens, aerial view as you're looking at Kenya. What is that one thing you'd like to tell Kenyans? Not politicians now, we have told them a lot, but Kenyans.
I would say Kenyans, mukae macho. And you need to know that Kenya is a very loved country out there. That guy who came here, whatever. I have been told to take back many of these. I've got orders. Kenya is loved. We are endowed with so much. We have got so many minerals, and of course maybe we don't have access to them. We have the Ikolomani people and Kakamega people sitting on 683 billion worth of gold. But guess what? They're told, come out, somebody wants to dig it and take it away. Need a torch. So I'm saying generally Kenyans, we need to be woke, so to say, see what is happening and give it to us. We amplify it out there. We can help in that way. But I believe if we choose the right leadership and we strengthen our institutions and we make crimes pay, corruption pay. You don't come to me from driving a motorbike. You become an MP, you come followed with 3 SUVs. You come in like this and moving people from the road. That's another thing. Moving people from the road like, you're my employee and you're moving me from the road.
Kenyans have started refusing.
Instead of me clapping for you, I'll ask you, where did you get it from? Could that be part of the school fees you should be putting in for my children? So I want us to be monitoring. Let us follow the money in this country. Let's not just go back to sleep and Nancy tells us, Miss Nancy tells us that we can't trace this money. What does that mean? We should stop the country. Let's not even do anything. Stop the country. Why waking up to try and look for 500 to try and take your kids to school if it's Kiharu? Why are we waking up? If $1 trillion can disappear and we wake up and continue as business as usual. When I arrived here, because I come in and out, the country has gone dark. Uhuru Highway, going up Valley Road, Gong Road, going to Karen, you hold your mouth, it's completely dark. But it wasn't like that. Some things are happening, but because we're within, we just accept, we sleep, we wake up, read the paper, these people are doing this, these people are doing this, and we do nothing about it. That is a problem. So Kenyans, we need to all be alert. We need to follow the money. Do not proceed. Hit stop. Do not proceed when you're told $1 trillion cannot be traced. Or you hear 12 trillion has been taken away. 12 trillion, that is like our budget for 4 years. We're not asking the right questions. If every Kenyan says, no, this is a bit too much, and I can hear it on the ground, but do something, the next step. So when you say 1 term, 2 term, as a teacher, that multiple choice question is not valid. You're leaving out one more choice. No time. Today, that's all I would say.
Kenya Kamacho, that is Comfort Mwangi talking about the state of politics and governance in Kenya from an aerial view. That is actually how the diaspora are thinking about this country. And what they're saying is, tukae macho. Of course, we're here at Double Drip Collections at Kovo Square next to Quickbet Lovington. And we're recording at the 2nd floor because I've been in talks with them and they've decided to dress me up and to, you know, talk a little bit about them so that you can know that you can actually dress well. And whatever you need as a man, you can get it here at Double Drip Collections. You can check them out on their socials, the numbers are on the screen. Thank you so much for making time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Every time we talk, I get more engaged and I get more enlightened. And you also get to, you know, learn more from what you have experienced. 25 to 30 years experience.
Yes, and Gen Z, you're 14 million strong. 14 million strong. Remember, protests, open the door, ballots, voting tells us who will go in. It's all in your hands. We love you. You've done a good job. We empower you. We're there to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day. Remember to subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Goodbye for now.